So welcome traders to another episode of Trader Over the Shoulder. Today I'm also with Saul. Saul is one of the head managers here at the Fivers, and of course always Miki.
Hey guys.
So today we're actually going to talk about something that I wanted to talk about for quite a while, and is the biggest loss of Miki, but also Saul's biggest loss as well, because he's got a great story and some really interesting kind of points and things that we can all learn from. So we're just going to talk about that today. So first of all, we'll start off with one of you. I think Miki's stories, we'll start off with you, Miki.
Okay.
Just about your biggest loss. You're scared?
Yeah.
That's all good. So what actually happened? Because you were a trader for 15 years, and that was your biggest loss over the whole of the 15 years. So what actually happened there?
It was 1 year ago on the SPCE space. If you watch in Benson, what is his name? Benson, the guy that have Virgin Atlantic.
Branson.
Yeah. If you're watching, you owe me big time. And,
he's English, you know?
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's English.
You go visit them.
Yeah, I'll go and visit him, tell him.
So, I still remember it. It took 3 days. The main thing about this loss, and we'll get into that in a second, but the main thing wasn't really the money. I mean, obviously it was big bucks, but it wasn't really the money. It was that I let the loose and didn't have control on the trade.
You let the loss run, and that's the thing that kind of bugged you up.
And something I didn't do for 15 years or 14 years. So that's the main issue. And so it was Monday, I took long on space. It opened beautifully. I actually was in profit about $2,000 pre-market. And when it started, I don't know why, I thought that it's gonna go extra up or something like that. Eventually it dropped down. I started to averaging down, adding more to my position. And because it dropped majorly in the same day, the broker, Interactive Brokers, you owe me also, they cut my leverage to 2, my buying power to 2 instead of 4 intraday. So I didn't have money. I ran out of my account. I couldn't add more to my position. And first day I lost 25K. I was still open in the trade. I remember because I thought that I had a class where I showed them and explained to them about the trade. And 6:30, like 2 hours in the trading day, I was down 25. It was crazy. Second day, again, don't remember the number there, but at the end on Wednesday, I traded from an office of my friend in Tel Aviv. And I still remember the last click on the button, on the mouse, when I'm covering 91,000.
Wow. 91K, huh? Makes your heart stop a little bit as well. It's like, gosh.
Man, it was a hard feeling. And all those days, those 3 days, I'm fighting and trying to get back into the game. So I'm covering some of the losses, taking some of the losses. And now that I got more buying power, I'm trying to get in the trade and basically dropping the average price. So always, if you would see the chart, you would see like thousands of really entering, exiting. Nothing I did worked. Nothing. I mean, I know how to trade, and I know where to add and where to average, and the amount that I need to invest in and all of that. But I don't know, 3 days just dropping. You can see it on the charts. They just dropping and dropping. Crazy.
It sounds painful.
It sounds painful, yeah. It's like, I remember when I had quite a big loss. I was trading Ethereum, and I was trying to short the all-time highs. And first I was in profits, but it was just like a little dip before it kept on going up, So when did you obviously knew that like around 25K that you were wrong on the position. Yeah. So what was that feeling of why didn't you just close it then? What was that? Yeah,
that's a great one. I mean, when I saw it around the 20s, I said I was making about $15,000 to $20,000, so like on average month. So I was saying, really, burning one full month in a trade, probably gonna go up or something like that, or I could work it out because again, I know where to add to the position. I know where to find the right support level, the point where it should turn and start bouncing up. So I give myself an extra credit, I guess, and that's sometimes you need to cut your losses.
Yeah, I think it's when the market gives you that little bit of profit and you feel, okay, that $2,000, you're feeling on a good start, and then it's opposite. You kind of feel like it's going to go back up to that $2,000 or $3,000 or where you were going to go as well. But clearly,
I had losses of let's say $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 when I turned the table and profit $3,000 or whatever. So I knew it's possible, but really those 3 days were massive. People selling, shorting it, dropping the price. You can see on the chart, I'm looking at that 5-second chart. So you can see on the chart, it's every 5 cents that it's bouncing up, boom, in one second, just dropping the price again. And again, 5 cents bouncing up, again, dropping it. So the momentum was so negative. And I just got into, like a snowball.
Yeah, like it's just like that snowball that you're just rolling, getting bigger and bigger and kind of freezing you.
Yeah.
Surprised you weren't frozen at the computer screen just watching it instead of you actually went and did your classes and stuff like that. It's quite And Saul, you got a similar thing because you're a Forex trader. So where Miki is like stocks, it's quite a similar story with you in FX. So
Yes.
what happened? What happened to you in your trade?
So mine wasn't that large loss in absolute numbers. So it was 2020, just at the beginning of the COVID.
Yeah.
But before we knew it was related to COVID. So before that, I was already 8 years following my strategy and my technique, which I do several techniques of also scaling in and scaling out positions. So when it's needed, I also add to positions. And when my setup fails, I usually know. No, if the setup fails, I usually know when to take the loss.
Okay. Yeah.
So for 8 years already, by that time, I was doing that consistently and profitable and doing well. And suddenly something changes in the market, but in real time you don't realize that, and you're at that point where if you're going to take every trader has experienced that. You take the loss, or the trade takes your loss and turns around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you keep that in mind, and you say, okay, so this time I will not take the loss, and I'll wait for the market to drop and then turn around, and it will go in my favor. Right. Only this time, that's what I thought. So this time I'm already in the loss. Okay, my setup has already failed. So I know I should take the loss. I was at home, and I remember I had my son also, and instead of taking the loss, I just moved it because there was a lot of momentum. That was the euro-yen pair.
Mm-hmm. You moved your stop.
Yeah, I canceled it.
Oh, you cancelled your stop.
Which is a big mistake because it's going through so many key levels. It has to stop. It has to reverse at some point, and it's not happening. So at some point, I'm deep in the loss. It goes back a little bit, and I think I was 1,000 in the loss. Mm-hmm. But I see doing an impulse, a retracement. So I say, okay, I will not close it. I will not take the 1,000 loss. Of course, next thing I know, it's continues going up, or against my position, I ended up losing about 14,000.
Yeah.
Which is comparison to the 90K is not as large.
Yeah.
But it was completely out of control, and I could feel the pain, the physical pain, and you're relying on trading for a living, and that happened in one account. So I had other accounts that I did not suffer that trading in those accounts, but in that specific account, you don't understand why something that you have been doing for so many years now suddenly stops working. So that was the story of the loss. But I think there's a lot to learn from those experiences. And right. So.
Yeah, carry on, man. You keep learning. If you want to do it, keep saying, man. We're listening as well.
Yeah. So first the workspace. Okay, the workspace was not the right one because
I mean, your home environment, it wasn't the right environment.
Okay. Your setup needs to be, the environment. Yeah. So if you're gonna be trading from home, make sure you have a dedicated space where you focus. Same time I was, taking care of my son. So he was a baby. He started crying, so I lost the focus. So I wasn't, in the zone.
You're blaming your baby son.
No.
I'm taking that stop loss off.
He told me to.
Yeah.
But the setup, the environment wasn't the right one. Okay. And secondly, you need to like Miki said, how long will it take that to recover? Okay, how long will it take to recover the loss? So if you're relying on that for a living, you don't want to spend months recovering that loss. So I know a 1,000K loss is painful, but you may take that, take a few days to recover that instead of 14K now and probably months to recover. So you need to, that time I decided there's no more losses like that. I'd rather be wrong than losing money. So I don't care about my ego. I don't care about my setup. I need to be aware that new things at the market changes all the time. I always prefer to be wrong than losing money. Mm-hmm. So I accept the loss, I take the loss, I cut it, and I leave another day for trading.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the lesson for you, would that be something similar kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. So what I did after that, first I took 2 weeks, a month to recover. Really not to be afraid to mentally not to be afraid to get in and trade again. It was really hard, especially again because what you're doing. You're doing it well for a long time, and then suddenly, really out of the blue, you're losing it. You're losing the control. So what I did, I also talked to myself and said, okay, this is your max loss, no matter what happened. I don't care. You close the position at that price. The other thing is, crafting up my techniques more. See if I'm adding, if I'm averaging down. So how much? Example, I started building up tables like Excel sheets with buying power of only 2 and not 4. So in case something happened and the broker closing my buying power, what is the max that I can use? How many shares I can buy on any given stock, and when I'm averaging down. Also checking the stats. How many times usually do I average down until it's bouncing back to my position and making me money?
Wow.
So something like, don't remember exactly, but something like 73% of the time I only averaged down twice. So I entered and averaged down 2 times more, and then it came back. So I know that 70-something% of the time it should continue to my favor. Yeah. But if it's more than that, I need to step back, assess again, and all of that.
Is that something that you writ in your journal specifically? Like, okay, I went into this position, I averaged in twice, and then it came back. Is that something that you manually wrote, or is that something that your trading journal did automatically?
No, I went each trade that I did for 6 months, and just each trade. And just see, okay, I entered here, how many times I averaged down before it bounced up, all that.
That's
literally one by one.
It's quite an important stat, actually, when you think about it. If you know that, then when you're averaging already, you're in your fourth or fifth average, you're kind of saying, okay, then this is not the right position. I'm obviously against the statistic.
You need to calculate everything inside. So when you enter in the trade, you can either take a full position, or we talked about it when you enter in just scaling into a trade, and you need to take the full risk into consideration. So if I know that usually I have 3 executions to enter into trade, right? So I know the total should be X amount of dollars that I'm willing to lose.
Okay. But going back to the mentally, because I speak to a lot of traders, especially in Fivers, traders TTP and things like that, TradeThePool, traders that have big losses and then they don't know how to deal with that afterwards. They kind of go on a bit like tilt, so they have that big loss, they go and get another account, they have another big loss, they get another account, they keep going. What is the recommendation for those traders? How do they get over that loss, and how do they accept that loss mentally once they have it?
Right.
Do you want to go on, Saul?
It's not only mentally. Of course, what I did, and I think something everyone should do, is take a break. Okay, realize what happened, understand what happened, and understand that you're not alone. Every trader at some point in the career will suffer something similar, larger or smaller, but a painful loss. So it's part of the process. Okay, it's fine to experience it. So take a break, put your things together, and come back. And once you come back, you really need to start small again, because the first thing you need to do, and maybe it's the hardest to do, is forgetting about the money side of the trading, but you need to rebuild your confidence. So if there's something happening in the markets, the forex market or the stocks market, that it's not right for your strategy, you just need to wait for that to pass and the market to reset to what's usual for you. But if it happened in normal under normal circumstances, you need to rebuild your own confidence, and you need to forget about the money, and you need to focus on performance. So you need to make sure that now, day in, day out, you're getting the results you used to in the points or pips side of the equation of the trade. And once you see, you have now like a forward testing that your performance has come back to normal, then you can start growing in size
and stuff,
and go back to the money part of trading. But I would say that's the
There's a problem there, because when you're losing, right, most people want to return the loss, right?
Yeah.
Remember when we talked about it also, like if you started your trading with $5,000, you lost $2,000. Now the only thing that you can think of is just, how do I
get back that loss?
Yeah, right? Get it back. And it's hard to do what you're saying.
Because all you're focusing on is how I've just lost that much money. I see a setup. How am I going to get all that money back in that next trade? Yeah. So it takes one of that, like the most disciplined trader to do that. So
we'll talk about it maybe more in depth in the risk management part, but it's more of understanding that it's a game of probability more than just winning or losing. So when you have that set of mind, I guess you're taking the part of the money, the dollars, and you put it aside and only focusing on, okay, I'm just doing step at a time, what I need to do, what I know how to do, and from that point, you get it back on the horse.
So you'd say still cut the size of your trading, so still cut the risk?
Yeah.
And so it's the same kind of thing, is it for... Okay.
Just mentally try to forget about the money part. For example, one of the things, I think we covered that in the first episode, but one of the things that helped me become profitable is deleting the P&L from the
position
platform.
Yeah, from the platform basically. So I wouldn't look at the P&L for a week and then for a month. I didn't touch it, didn't look, because at the end of the day, the money is the results of good performance. Yeah. So,
yeah, I think especially when you're in a position, and then in my trading as well, and then you suddenly see a position, you're in good profits, naturally you start feeling like you actually want to close the position even though there's no reason to close the position. Then you close too early and it goes up to your take profit, and then you feel, annoyed at yourself that you just closed a good position, you've left all those profits. But it's also when you're in the opposite direction, you're losing a lot of money, suddenly you want to hold on for that for some reason because you don't want to lose that monetary number right there. So
yeah.
That's a good one. Just closing off the P&L and not seeing that. I think that's a nice little trick, to be fair.
Just leave it aside because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The money, it's not the cause. The money is not what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're performing, we're executing trades. If you do that right, you get money at the end.
Yeah. And it took you, I think it was like 6 months to get back onto track with the loss. Yeah, in one trade, you just blow 6 months of trading in one. Wow, that's crazy.
I didn't sleep for those 3 days. I barely slept. It was while doing the trading, and after that as well, it's always in your head. How do I get back? First thing, how do I get back the money? You know? And how do I get back to trading? Really clicking on the mouse, but yeah.
It's like when you're in the trade and you're looking at the chart and you're telling yourself all the time like why you should hold on to this loss, and you keep going. But then when you're like, you've closed it and you look at the chart, suddenly you see, why was I in this position at the start? Why did I get into it?
I mean, in my case at least, I took the trade. The trade was a good trade to take, the first one. It was a good trade to be in the pre-market. I should have closed the position when I reached that $2,000 profit, definitely, because that was my aiming. And as soon as I saw that it's dropping more than 5, 6, 7,000, I should close that there. But really, I kept fighting and fighting. That was mentally and physically hard. Keeping focus. I didn't leave the computer for those 3 days, except from the teaching that I had, and just fighting. Entering, taking loss, buying more, taking loss, buying more. Eventually, the stock went from where I left it to something like $9. So I was there.
Where did you get in again?
42 or 44, 46. No, not in my time, not in the trading, those 3 days. I don't know, you can see it on the chart. It dropped like maybe $7 or $10, something like that.
Yeah.
But then it went down till this day to 9 or something. Yeah. So I'm happy about it. And if I could have cursed, I would have said something.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I don't know what YouTube would say if you were cursing on that one, but there you go. So both of you actually teach, because Miki, you teach people Miki stocks and things like that. You teach stock trading, and Saul, you've been a senior portfolio analyst here. You speak to hundreds of traders. What are the kind of things that you see, kind of the mistakes that you see everyday traders do or new traders do that kind of make those kind of losses kind of happen? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Or you see kind of mistakes that making that can prevent losses or?
Yeah, the first one is, and almost always, the over leveraging. Once you trade a large amount of money, you're only focused on that. Okay, so once that goes large, it's very hard to take the loss. But if you're trading the right size, if you're trading small, it will be easier to take the losses when you have to. Okay, if you're going to lose $1 in a trade, you will be able to go to sleep knowing you lost $1. But if that same dollar is $10,000, you'll not be able to go to sleep. Okay?
Ask Miki.
Yeah. So really trading more or taking more risk than they should. It's a big component of that. So that's one. And second, I think most traders have, they see trading as a temporary thing, and they don't take it like as a business and as a long-term career.
So it's like they're like short-term mindset kind of things.
Yeah, and they don't see it for the long run and the real opportunity that can bring to you as in a financial aspect of your life. So if you were thinking of that as a business, and I don't know, you have a partner or a boss, and you have every decision you make, you have to explain to someone else. You wouldn't be taking those kind of risks, or you would take the losses, because explaining why you took the loss, if that's the right thing to do, you will explain it would be a good thing to do. But once we're alone and we don't take it responsibly and serious with the seriousness that's needed, we allow ourselves to play with the rules. And last thing, again, we're really focused about the outcome of our trades. And we need to remember that we can't control that on our trades. There's certain things we can control: where we enter, where we exit, and how much we're going to risk. The outcome is not on us. So we need to focus on making the good setups and taking our good trades and forget about the outcome. Because even the best setups out there might fail and might end up losing money. They're still good setups. They just lost money. So we need to, again, refocus on the performance and on the process and not on the money.
I know we won't go into too much of risk management and stuff, but you mentioned obviously the appropriate amount of risk to put on the trade.
Yeah.
What's the appropriate amount of risk to put on the trade?
Yeah,
is it until you feel comfortable and you're like, okay, now this is fine, like $200-$300. How do you know what's appropriate?
So we all have like a risk tolerance threshold and a risk profile. So it's like a muscle you go and build. Okay, so it's very different for each one of us. So maybe you're comfortable with 0.5%, maybe you're comfortable with 1%, maybe you're comfortable with 5% per trade. Okay, so there's no right or wrong, but make sure you start small, with the least you can. And then if you're comfortable with that, increase it, make it bigger. But don't start with something you can't, you lose emotional control over the trade.
What would you say, Miki?
Yeah, I completely agree. First of all, don't trade alone. So these days, you got plenty of, with us, like TradeThePool, the Fivers, we got
like communities, trading like community?
Exactly, yeah. Someone that is just
accountable,
exactly. So you're not trading by yourself, and the decision you're making, that others are watching you and will criticize you according to that. So something like a boss, right? Other than that, stuff that Saul just said.
Building that muscle of risk with a lot of people that you've taught as well, Miki. And I know it's probably the same as in Forex, but how do they develop that kind of risk tolerance? You just say keep putting on, slowly adding size, or?
I mean, just build a system that you can work with. First, you say that you're working right and you're profitable, right?
Yeah.
Then you understand that, okay, if I'm trading for a full month and I know that I'm doing the right thing and I see the results, so now I can add 10%, 15%, 20% to the risk that I'm taking.
Yeah.
Let's see how can I handle with that, trade with that. If I don't see that it's affecting me too much, like mentally affecting me, that I'm in a good position, so I can continue to grow from there. Some will use the 3-trade rule. When you, let's say you're risking $50, how would you feel and act if you would lose 3 trades in a row?
With the $50?
Yeah, with the $50. Would you, go crazy and say, what I've done, etc., sleep at night, or, okay, that's fine. I'm feeling good with 150 total. I can continue to trade, and it's not affecting my decision making. So you need to play with it. There is no
right or wrong answer.
But you know what? And not many people talk about or realize that trading small not only improves your losing side of trading, but also improves your winning side of the trading. Because a lot of traders struggle with letting their winnings run. It is the same psychology behind it. If you're winning, if you're up $100, you don't want to take that win. You want to let it go and let it. You want to let it run for $500, $1,000. Okay. So when you're risking small, you will improve your losing side of trading, but it will also allow you to let your winnings trade run for longer.
Instead of seeing that big number and then you just want to take the money right there.
And then you close the trade and you just see it continue for many points in your face.
What about a soft and hard stop? Which one would you guys recommend? A soft stop or a hard stop? Just everything, yeah. Because Miki, you run naked sometimes on your positions. Sometimes I see there's.
This is a different podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time, for the first few years, I had a hard stop in the system, definitely. But as you go along and starting a little bit more averaging down and stuff like that, and you're more comfortable with trading, then not using most of the time, not using a hard stop, just because I can trade. I can trade the trade. So sometimes when you enter in here, putting your stop loss here, then there is no, like you said, there is no control other than that. But I guess when you continue to trade all the time and you're really focusing on trading full time, then you start really trading, let's call it. And even if you entered here and your stop is here, you can still play and scale in, scale out. And this is actually real trading, when you always scale in, scale out and play with the position. So that's my point of view. Obviously, it doesn't mean that that's the right one for the guys that are listening right now. Just
no, I guess the good habit would be to always make sure you have a stop
at the start,
even if it's very far. Just to protect you against a news announcement you weren't expected or something. That would be the good habit. And then once you have that habit in place, then you can start playing around with it.
How do a trader? We're gonna tell traders how do they learn to average down correctly? It's not a good thing to do, but go to Miki. But at the end of the day, the majority of traders in their career of trading are going to find out or going to average into a position for the good or for the bad, and they need to learn how to average into a position correctly. Where do they learn the techniques of averaging into positions or managing the trade correctly? Where do they learn to do that?
First of all, there are stuff that you only learn from experience, right? I can teach you how to drive and tell you how to drive, but if you're not sitting and starting
driving
with driving,
playing with driving,
and so you won't be able to know how to maneuver along the road. So first is experience. Other than that, there are tons of YouTubers, obviously ours as well, that you can learn stuff like that. What I would recommend is first understand what is the total risk that you're capable of taking. And other than that, build Excel sheets that will show you exactly how much you're adding, where do you add, so you will have a system that's saying, okay, I entered here only if it will drop to a major support level, and I have, a deviation in the MACD and the volume coming in strong or whatever it is, but only then I will add more to my position, but only if I have the right set of, the rules, the parameters that I need. Exactly like if you enter in a position, right? You enter in a trade, you have X amount of parameters that work in toward this trade or favorable to this trade. So yeah, the same thing applies.
Nice. So,
yeah, I don't know where you can learn it. I've done a couple of videos, and you can find it on our YouTube channel, of course. But the important thing is not to make people think this is a martingale system or something like that. It's not related to that. It's just a technique you need to know how to use when it's right to use within your strategy. It needs to be planned out, as Miki said. It's not something you do randomly. It's not just adding to a position because
you want to get it lower down.
It needs to be planned within the setup. Okay, it's not always right to do that. So you need to start playing with that, experimenting with that, if you feel comfortable with that. But if you think about it, it's like the big money managers out there. We have to to throw billions into the market. You cannot do that at one price. Okay, so you throw it at certain levels. So it's just like trying to mimic that same process they do, just with your retail account, your small account. Okay? So instead of throwing everything, all the risk, all the 1% at certain level, you throw a 0.25%, and then 0.25%, and then 0.5%, and that's it. But you're still risking 1% in the whole setup.
Yeah,
that's it.
Fair enough.
all right.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. We've got a lot of episodes, especially next one, probably risk management. But definitely check out the Fiverr's YouTube page and TradeThePool for loads of content on the equities market, also on the FX markets. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.